What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Dragon Ball Super. So, before I even get into all of the crazy shit that's going on this episode, especially with the Trunks at the end, with getting us into the next arc that's been hyped up, and we're getting to see, like, some form of evil version of Goku. Don't know much about it. I've kind of been avoiding spoilers for the next arc. The only thing I know of is that it's going to be focusing on Trunks and some form of evil Goku. That's all I know. I don't know much else besides that. I'm just going to say right now, though, I'm incredibly hyped for that. I cannot wait for next week's episode. I am super fucking hyped for it. But before I get into the content of this episode of Dragon Ball Super, I just gotta quickly just do a mini fangasm here. I just finished watching the episode of Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I don't know how many of you are fans of Team 4 Star or not, but I've been a fan since Season 1, since they first started putting out episodes, and now seeing this latest episode that just came out like a couple days ago, I haven't had really the time to actually watch it. I sat down, watched it this morning, and I just like finished it. Oh my god. Oh my god. That shit was so fucking good, dude. Oh, okay, so you know what? I might make a separate video on that episode, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, because that episode was just so fucking good. Not in terms of just being funny, but at a writing level, it was so good. It was worthy enough for me to say, I want to fucking review it and talk about it. That's just how good it was. So I might make a separate video on that, but I gotta say right now, if you watch Team 4 Star, and if you haven't seen the latest episode that, like, just recently came out, go fucking watch it. That shit was just savage, badass, just everything I love about, you know, Team 4 Star, it was all in that episode. But you could see a lot of improvements that they've done in recent times and since the beginning. It's fantastic. So enough of that. Let's get into, you know, Dragon Ball Super. I'm sorry, the title of the video says Dragon Ball Super, not Dragon Ball Z Abridged. So, Dragon Ball Super, the episode. Okay, so Goku versus Vegeta. That's what majority of this episode is about. And it kind of ends exactly how I figured it would, because in a way, as it's been kind of stated since the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, Goku and Vegeta are like equals. They both have achieved this god form, and of course, Goku, in a way, is stronger than Vegeta because he has Kaioken. He can do that while he's in, you know, Super Saiyan Blue. But it has negative effects on his body. But at the end of the day, if we really compare it, I guess you could say Goku is more powerful than Vegeta at this time. But in terms of actually fighting without using something like that, they're very equal in strength and power level. And so this fight right here, I knew there was no way that they were probably going to either have Goku or Vegeta win. I just highly doubted that was going to happen at all when I walked into this episode, because that's one of the main things about Dragon Ball Super. It's been about Goku and Vegeta progressing together, getting stronger together, and receiving training from Whis. So with that, I knew something was going to happen that was going to throw something off. Maybe there's going to be something that you made the Vegeta, this form of Vegeta, weaker. Maybe, you know, that Vegeta form was going to do something different and he was just going to let himself die. Something was going to happen. So I was expecting it throughout the entire episode, but that does not mean that this episode was bad. It was actually a very good episode because it encompasses what I really love from Dragon Ball Z and brings it into this episode. Goku versus Vegeta, having them go at it, beating the shit out of each other, and it was a really nice action-orientated episode getting to see this. Sadly, it seemed like this might be a precursor or a teaser for maybe a future match later on down the road in Dragon Ball Super, because one thing I feel like Dragon Ball Super is kind of lacking is a real good sparring match between Vegeta and Goku. I would really love to see a big battle between these two. Just throw them on a planet, like an isolated planet, make sure nobody's on it, and let Vegeta and Goku just go at it. I would love to see an episode just completely focused around this, or even a fucking arc. It'd be badass. But that's one thing I feel like has been missing from Dragon Ball Super, and it felt like this episode was more geared towards the fans of Goku and Vegeta that want to see them go at it and beat the shit out of each other. Even though it wasn't really Vegeta at the end of the day fighting Goku, it was still very fun seeing that fight. And the way it concluded, I felt like it ended in a way that would allow both sides to accept it. Even though Goku technically killed this, you know, fake copy Vegeta, it wasn't in a way to where Goku was more powerful than Vegeta. The fight would have took too long, and even if Goku would have went Kaioken, it would have took way too long and Vegeta would have disappeared. So, because of that, I felt like the fight ended rather well. It was a really well done fight. But one thing though now I need to talk about is something I forgot to mention, and a couple Chibits did point it out in the comments last week, and so I want to bring it up. Some were saying they noticed how Vegeta's copy form looks a lot like baby Vegeta. Now, I know many fans of Dragon Ball Z, do not like GT. And personally, I have my mixed feelings about it as well. I do. But there is some moments of Dragon Ball GT I do enjoy. I do enjoy some moments of Dragon Ball GT. I do. And seeing the, comparisons some were making last week about Vegeta and how he looked like baby Vegeta, especially with the markings on his face and stuff, I was like, holy shit, he does! Like, copy Vegeta really does look like baby Vegeta in a way. And in this episode, when I saw Vegeta put the pacifier in his mouth, I'm like, they're making it literal baby Vegeta. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? So it was very funny. I had a good laugh. I know it probably wasn't meant to be like that for me to, like, interpret it that way with Vegeta having a pacifier in his mouth, but it just reminded me of GT baby Vegeta. I was like, oh, wow, wow, just, it got me. So, overall, a lot of funny comedy moments throughout this entire episode with some very good action and a good conclusion to this little mini filler arc. Or, not filler arc, I'm sorry. It's not a filler arc. It actually had a lot of weight, but it was a good conclusion to this, little slow-paced in-between arc before we get into the very serious stuff in next week's episode. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about, what's going to happen next week? I mean, what's your impressions of, Trunks coming back, future Trunks? How do you feel about his design? I saw his design, how he has bluish hair now. I don't really know how to feel about that. I'll see how he is in anime form. I mean, looking at the teaser at the end of this episode, he looked really awesome with his new style and all that. He looked really badass. So, I'm not really going to judge his design. I'll have to see how he is in, the episodes. But so far, for what I've seen, I'm really hyped up and excited for next week's episode. It's probably going to be one of the best arcs of Dragon Ball Super. So, let me know your thoughts. Please be safe. Chibi out.